What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another video. And today we're doing something a little bit different, a little bit scary, but something super duper fun. And we're going to do a film music quiz. Okay, so the title of this video is Can You Guess the Film Composer, right? So I would love for you to play along with me. Admittedly, I am not the most well-versed with film music. I actually listen to a lot more video game music and some, classical soundtracks and stuff like that, Disney, Broadway. But when it comes to strictly film music, I'm not the biggest it's not really my forte, and so I don't think I'm going to do very well, but if you do better than me, please let me know down below. I'd love to hear your results there. But the way this is going to work is I'm going to have, I think it's like 15 to 20 different tracks without the names. So we're going to listen to them together. And then after that, we're going to make a guess who the composer is. And then we're going to get the answer on the next page. So before we start, quick thank you to Magnet from my Discord server for putting this together. I think Magnet's name is Joshua, so definitely check his music out. I've left a link down in the description box if you want to check that out. Definitely do so. Thank you again, Joshua, for this. All right, without further ado, let's jump on in. Let's see how we do with our film music quiz. So the very first one is this track, and we have, let me see, 20. So we have 20 different composers to choose from. This is the first track over here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. I'm getting a very Italian vibe from this because of the like I don't know exactly what instrument that is, and this makes me think of like a gondola sailing through maybe like Venice on a boat or something. So naturally, I'm gonna look for an Italian name, and I do not recognize actually quite a few of these names. Gustavo Santaolalla sounds like an Italian name, so my guess is going to be Gustavo. But out of these other ones, like I've heard of Daniel Pemberton, don't know his music. Dave Grusin, don't know his music either. Carter Burwell, never heard of. Christian Lundberg, don't really know him. These other ones I do know except for Ryuichi Sakamoto, so that's obviously a Japanese composer. But yeah, anyway, that being said, my guess is Gustavo. Let's find out. No, it's this one. Okay. But it is sort of that like Italian, French sort of thing. Okay, fair enough. Mr. Mustafa is the name of this track. All right, 0 for 1. Here we go. Next one. Here we go. Number 2. Hell, let's have a listen. All right, so a very full adventure track, lots of, action themes and stuff like that. Very adventurous, very reminds me of like Back to the Future in a way. And so if I had to narrow it down, I would say, at least from the composers I know, it could be something from John Powell, Howard Shore, maybe, James Horner, possibly, John Barry. Like these three guys, the James, John, and the two Johns, they have very similar sounds and a lot of the music that I'm familiar with. But I feel like it could also be Alan Silvestri. So because to me it sounds a lot like Back to the Future, I will, but then I don't know if Joshua would put 2 A's in a row. So you know what? I'm going to say John Powell. Why not? John Powell. Here we go. No, I was right. Oh, I was right at first. Okay, so it is Alan Silvestri. Dang it. I was so close. It is Back to the Future too. Wow. Okay, I should have just gone with my gut. Damn it. Okay. All right, 0 for 2. I'm already disappointed. Okay, let's keep going. Number 3. Who wrote this track? Interesting. So it started off very more, you know, mellow, sort of like anthemic, building up to that big climax there. But it started off kind of adding layers and layers and layers, and it sounded more regal to me. So when I think of regal, I think more. It's either like Golden Age cinema or like a British sort of composer, and I'm guessing it's one of the names that I don't really know here. So maybe Carter, maybe Christian, or Gustavo. I think, and none of these pieces I've heard of yet. Like I don't recognize any of them. So if I had to make a guess, I'm gonna go with my gut and say Christian. But let's see. Here we go. It's John Williams, really? I would never guess John Williams because especially in that middle section there was those synths and that sound effects stuff going on. But I guess that makes sense because it's maybe yeah, Superman, so it's like more out of this world sort of stuff, right? Like more mysterious and and that makes sense. Da, 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 da. Right. It has that foundation and sort of that brooding stuff in the very beginning of the Superman main theme cue. That makes more sense. Yeah, I guess that trumpet solo also kind of sounds like the, what is it, Saving Private Ryan theme or something like that. I guess there's a trumpet solo there. Okay, I can see how this is just, yeah, John Williams. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Number 4, who wrote this? Okay, so a very consistent sort of sound signature throughout here. Harp and strings in the top, and the chord progression is relatively diatonic for a lot of it, and then you can follow pretty well. But yeah, let's see. So I don't think it's Thomas Newman because I feel like Thomas would probably have more piano stuff, like more dreamy piano cues. Ramin Djawadi, I feel like could be possible from what I kind of remember from Game of Thrones, but I don't exactly remember. Michael Giacchino, I think his music would be a little more uplifting and fun. Justin Hurwitz, I think, is more jazzy, big bandy sort of stuff. I'm inclined to think it's someone from this third row here. So maybe, let's see, John Barry, John Powell, James Horner, Danny Elfman. I don't think it's Danny Elfman because I think it would be more quirky than that. You know what? I'm just going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to say John Barry. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Okay. Ryuichi Sakamoto. So this is the one that I haven't, this composer I do not know. Very interesting. From a movie, cool, Snake Eyes. Interesting. I've never watched that movie. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, not doing very well here, as you can see, so what a shame. All right, let's keep going. Number 5, here we go. Okay, we'll stop there. I just remembered that I was talking to Magnet before this when he was putting this together, and he said, well, what if we get down to the last couple questions? Obviously, the process of elimination is going to tell you who the composer is, and I'm like, that's very true. Maybe throw in a couple red herrings in there, like a couple extra composers. So I think there's only 15 tracks total in this quiz, but I think there are 20 names, so 5 of them are not even part of, you know, this quiz. So that makes things a little bit harder, but this track I do recognize, and that is the Married Life theme from Up, and that was written by Michael Giacchino. So thank you for giving me a lifeline here, Joshua. Appreciate it. Yeah, one of the most beautiful tracks I know, and it would be a real shame too. As a Pixar Disney fan, I'd quit this quiz immediately. But anyway, that is this one. Let's keep going. Number 6. Who is this? Okay, back to the full orchestra here, obviously. Okay. my first instinct is screaming Howard Shore, and I think it's because when I heard the do 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 something like that, that little lick there, that reminded me of a cue from The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or something. And then this passage we just heard here, like the D minor, C major, D minor sort of thing, that has a very regal sort of grounded sort of tone, which does kind of remind me of that Lord of the Rings vibe too. So I know I'm going to regret it if I don't stick with my gut. So either way, let's just say Howard Shore and see. I haven't heard this cue before, but I won't be too disappointed if I'm wrong. I was right! Yes! Yes! Okay, see, it pays to go with your gut sometimes. I'm actually surprised I got this, but I'm very glad I stuck with that. Okay, let's keep going. Number 7. Okay, this one is really interesting. We get a good mix of like more modern elements, like the rock elements, right, with the guitar and the drum kit, but then we also get the strings at the end there that just before we stopped. So I'm inclined to think that it's not one of the older composers, you know, because I would think they're a little bit more traditional. I'm kind of narrowing it down to maybe Hans Zimmer, Danny Elfman, maybe, or Ramin Djawadi. So, I do think it's one of those three. But I also think Hans Zimmer would be a little bit heavier, on the heavier side, if I just think classic Hans Zimmer, right? So I'm thinking Danny Elfman or Ramin. Let's see. Okay. My gut is saying Ramin Djawadi, and so I'm just going to go with it. Here we go. It was Danny Elfman! Okay. You know what? I don't regret it too much because at least I was in the ballpark. And yeah, Danny Elfman is a master at combining traditional elements with, you know, fun, quirky things and more modern stuff and just all of that combined together in a really great way. So, okay, fair enough. Yep. Okay, let's keep going. Number 8, who wrote this? Yeah, like this is still giving me TV show vibes. So I'm thinking either Hans Zimmer or Ramin Djawadi again. I don't know, but I don't think it's a classic composer, someone who writes, you know, super melodic themes and stuff like that. Like this feels more like an underscore, or maybe a title theme for something, or you know, maybe someone's walking around and there's a sinister thing going on. So I'm gonna choose Ramin Djawadi again. Why not? Okay. Yes. Okay. Game of Thrones. It was Game of Thrones. Nice. Okay. All right. So the TV show stuff should be out of the way. Let's see what we get from here on out. Next one. Number 9. Here we go. Okay. I knew this track sounded familiar to me, and now I'm pretty sure it's like I'm 99% sure that this is from Wall-E. Especially, I think it's when they're like traveling through the tunnels and stuff, and Wall-E got to the spaceship and he's discovering it. So, oh man, now I just don't remember who wrote that score. I know it's not Justin Hurwitz because he did La La Land and stuff like that. James Horner, I feel like it was a bit older than him. Oh, sorry, the film was newer than his time. I don't think it was John Barry either. John Powell, I think it's possible. I think it could be John Powell. Thomas Newman's also possible. Thomas Newman is definitely possible. Not Hans Zimmer, not these guys, I don't think. Not Ennio Morricone. I think he was older. So John Powell or Thomas Newman. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to say Thomas Newman. I'm going to say Thomas Newman. Even though it's not a piano score, I think it has that light-hearted sort of vibe, and the strings in there are really nice and clean and rich. I think it's a Thomas Newman sort of vibe, personally. John Powell, I think more either thriller scores or something like How to Train Your Dragon, which is more anthemic and more epic, if you will, more cinematic in that way. So I'm just gonna go with my gut here and say Thomas Newman. I pray to God that I'm right. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, I'm on a roll here, guys. I'm doing pretty well, even though I'm probably at like, I don't know, 3 for 9 or something right now. But still, you know, the failures are what make the successes that much sweeter, right? Define dancing. That's right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. Nice. I'm getting the butterflies, guys. This is fun. Okay, next. Number 10. I think we have 5 more. Let's see. All right. 2 things that come to mind here. One, it's jazz. Jazz. So the only jazz composer that I can think of here that's left on the list actually is Justin Hurwitz. Number 2, I'm pretty sure I remember hearing this in Whiplash when Terrence Fletcher is playing at that jazz club after he got kicked out from the school. So I am like 90% sure that this is Justin Hurwitz because I'm pretty sure this is also from Whiplash, which I know he scored. So I'm going to say Justin Hurwitz on this. Yes. Yes. And it says, yeah, unable to play video, but I'm pretty sure it's in that scene where Terrence is playing the piano there. Okay. Whew. Let's keep going. Number 11. Who wrote this track? Oh, 14 minutes long. Okay. So it's probably an extended film score or something. Let's see. Wow. Okay, this one I literally have no clue because when it first started with all the more intricate orchestral elements, I thought it might be one of the J's, James Horner, James Barry, even John Powell. But now with those vocals, it has more of a modern flair, and I believe they're singing in English, right? Like I don't have to care or something like that. I believe that was English, so that narrows it down a little bit, I guess. I don't think it's any of these guys. I do still think it's a J, but the fact that there's vocals in it, and yeah, it sounds a little bit more modern. So when I think of James Horner and John Barry, I get more of a an older classic sort of vibe from their music, I'm pretty sure. John Powell, I imagine, as a little bit more modern. Yeah, it's hard. But you know what? I'm gonna say John Powell on this one, just because of that reason. The choir makes it sound more modern, and they're singing in English, and the recording quality is really good too. So let's just go with it. I literally have no idea though. Nice. I've never heard this, never, and wow. I honestly am so surprised it's John Powell. I would not expect him to write something like this, but very cool. Okay, number 12. I think we're down to the last 3 here. Or last 4, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so I'm in a few minds on this one. I feel like the beginning with all the intricate string writing and all those interacting lines, it's so beautiful. And so I was thinking, like, who writes intricate music like that? Pretty sure Hans Zimmer wouldn't be the best fit for this piece specifically. James Horner and John Barry are probably my go-to picks there. But then we heard the choir at the end where there's that choir, and suddenly it sounds a lot more modern because those progressions are definitely simpler and a lot more diatonic as well. So we're getting a hint of lots of, or a few different styles here. And I don't think it's Ennio Morricone, even though the beginning made me think so because of the intricate string writing, and I know his string writing is very good. So that kind of narrows it down to, again, the 2 J's, and I'm gonna say James Horner. No particular reason why, but it's. I guess I'm slightly more familiar with James Horner's music over John Barry, but again, I'm not really sure. So it could be either one, but I'm gonna say Horner. Yes, I'm literally on a roll here, guys. I am getting a little lucky, I think, but still, this is a beautiful piece. I've never heard that before, but very cool. Okay, we're down to the last three. Here we go. Okay, this one is really interesting. My gut is telling me Hans Zimmer, even though this is not what I naturally associate with his music, like it being more dark and broody and stuff, but it still has that dark element to it that makes me think that it could be him. Those low, rich brass chords and also the doubling of the melody kind of in brass and in vocals. I feel like that's something I've heard Hans Zimmer do before. But again, the fact that this is in more of a major key, which I rarely hear from Hans Zimmer, makes me question myself a little bit. It could equally be John Barry. I just don't know his music well enough to definitively say, and I don't think it's Ennio Morricone because I don't really associate that with his style of music. And then the other guys I just don't know. So I think it's Hans Zimmer. I could be totally wrong, but let's just say Hans Zimmer. It is John Barry. Okay, fine. Okay, we got the last J out of the way. But yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, nice. Last two, guys. Here we go. There we go. All right, cool. So this is Cinema Paradiso from Ennio Morricone. I know this one because I studied this piece specifically for my Love Theme System workshop that I did a year ago. So this is another one that I know 100% is definitely Ennio. And again, I don't know the other guys very well. Hans Zimmer, definitely not him. So this is 100% Ennio. Cool. All right, we're down to our last one. And by process of elimination, I'm going to guess it's probably Hans Zimmer, but let's see. Because yeah, these five, I've never heard of their names before. Oh, no, that's not true. I've heard of Des Grussens slightly, but these other guys I don't know at all pretty much. But let's see. Okay, the Erhu totally catches me off guard here, and the Chinese element, I haven't heard this before from Hans Zimmer at all. But again, like I don't think I just don't know the other composers, and this is more of a Chinese flavor. None of those guys have Chinese names, and the only famous guy that I know left here is Hans Zimmer. So I've never heard this before. But by process of elimination, I would say Hans Zimmer. I think one thing that does tell me that it could be him as well is the fact that the theme is quite strong. So he writes some beautiful themes. Also, the arrangement is relatively dense in the chords that are moving, and the chords are also not super out there either. Like they're relatively easy to follow. They have a nice, structure, nice progression throughout. It makes sense. It's not very, very weird or anything. So Hans Zimmer, I feel like, could do that for sure. Does that for sure. And then the very last D chord at the very end, it's more like an octave actually, that low D. And Hans Zimmer is known for D minor, D, right? So this could be totally off, but based on that reasoning, I would say Hans Zimmer. Yes, good way to end it off. Okay, I don't know the score yet. I haven't calculated it, but you'll see it right here on the screen what I got. Let me know if you played along what you got. I would love to see your results. But yeah, I love doing this sort of stuff. It's always fun to kind of test our knowledge a little bit, have a little bit of fun here and there. If you don't know, my personal style of music is more geared towards the classic Disney style with those, soaring themes like Alan Menken sort of music with, colorful chord progressions and stuff like that, more of a Broadway style. And so if that sort of music ever interests you, if you've ever been curious about how to write in that style, I actually did put a guide together specifically talking about that genre. And so if you want to grab that, I call it 5 Steps to Writing Thematic Music in the Style of Disney and Nintendo. You can find it in the first link in the box below. And again, it goes over some practical techniques that you can use to write those gorgeous, memorable melodies that people will just hum for decades, write those progressions that will really bring your musical message to life and support your melody. And then I show you some practical methods in there as well that you can really take and apply to your own writing instantly. So I want to give that to you as a little gift and a little souvenir for checking out this video today, playing this game with me. And I hope you enjoyed. It's helped a lot of my students, and I would love for you to grab it and use it as well in your own music. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was enjoyable. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'll see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.